From London, England, where the Queen lives.
Recorded live from an underground bunker and packaged into an MP3 with a pretty little picture. Helping to kickstart your day with the motivation and inspiration you need 365 days a year. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. And this is your host, Chris Jaggs.
Good morning! My name is Chris Jaggs, and this is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. How's your Monday going so far? Or maybe you're listening to this a completely different day. Ooh. Whenever you're listening, thanks for downloading. This week, I want to touch upon the subject of mental health, and I'm glad to see that it's still a subject that floats around the forefront of our minds, especially with how many people are now affected, even to the point where they didn't know they may potentially have an issue. But first, a big shout out to the listeners out there. You know who you are? Well, I mean, you're listening, aren't you? So you know what I'm talking about. This podcast is currently rocking it back home in the UK, back over in America, France, Ireland, Hong Kong, Sweden, Australia, Nepal, Germany, Argentina, Canada, Mexico, Malaysia, Kuwait, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa. If you are one of those people, let me know. Chris@learndeveloplive.com or drop me a review and I'll give you a shout out. Thank you for downloading. So we have a few reviews this week. The first is from Jello, and there's a little heart next to it, which says, amazing podcast. Who knew I could get motivated so quickly? The host is amazing. Thank you. At making me feel like anything is possible. Highly recommended. That's because, Jello, anything is possible. Well, unless you try and staple an ice cube in an envelope to a tree. Maybe not. The second review is from No Cappin, who kindly wrote, each episode offers great in-depth advice on different topics about life. Hey, I try. If anyone out there would like a particular topic looked at, discussed, drop me an email or a message on any of the social media platforms I'm on. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just look for Learn, Develop, Live and you'll find it. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my graphic designer, Raka Design. And let's hope after all this time I can say his name right. Over on Fiverr, he has been my go-to guy for all the artwork for the podcast, for the website, learndeveloplive.com, since I started. No matter how small a project it is, it always ends up being some big mission. My fault, sorry. But he always delivers. So shout out to him. If you need any artwork put together, look him up on Fiverr. That's Raka Design. All one word, no spaces. I thank you. Now, let's have a drop and let's get into the episode.
For more information and inspiration, head over to learndeveloplive.com.
Do you need some advice? Have you lost your mojo? Do you need some help with a problem? You can email chris@learndeveloplive.com. And let's smash it together.
And we are back in the room. Can I ask you a question? Now, if you said, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. How are you? No, I really mean, how are you? How are you really? Deep down inside. Not what people see on the outside, but how's your mental state? Do you feel okay? The reason I ask, and it's absolutely nothing to be ashamed about, is, are you feeling alright? Because it's okay to not be okay. As we enter yet another week of lockdown, several months of staying indoors and not seeing friends, family or co-workers, well, it's slowly begun to take its toll, and it's had a huge impact on our mental health. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, or even a character in The Simpsons. Everyone has mental health. People with no history of mental health are developing serious psychological problems for the first time as a result of the lockdown, amid growing stresses over isolation, job insecurity, relationship breakdown and bereavement. Adults and children are having psychotic episodes, massive depression, with some taken to hospital because of the heavy toll on their mental well-being. Men aged 18 to 25 are reported to have been badly affected for the first time ever with mental health issues. Previous research has suggested that they feel worse affected by the restrictions on their movement and are most likely the ones who forget about lockdown, just go out anyway. A few weeks ago, I caught a documentary on BBC One featuring Prince William, which follows a year-long campaign by Heads Together called Heads Up, which has been working with the English Football Association to find out a way to make mental health a talking point throughout the footballing calendar. It is a well thought out and ingenious idea. If you want to tell men it's okay to experience mental health issues the way they do with physical health, the Duke of Cambridge and the Premier League footballers are certainly the people to help with that. The documentary follows football at all levels, from grassroots community teams to the England squad, with ways of processing men's mental health, provide community, and also how often they fail to do either. It brings in men of all ages, races, classes and stories. It is, safe to say, a watertight campaign, aided in part by its figurehead and presenters' willingness to listen and talk about, the elephant in the room. Now, the documentary, Football, Prince William and Our Mental Health, as I record this, is still available on the BBC iPlayer in the UK and will be available for around 2 weeks or so. The documentary itself allows us to spend time with Prince William as he goes about his work campaigning for better understanding of mental health issues. In honest and open conversations, he talks about his own battles with anxiety, how parenthood affected his mental health, and the support system he and the Duchess provided for him and each other. But the documentary itself, it's not just a flash in the pan, once in a lifetime programme. It actually follows a year-long campaign. And there have been moments when the campaign has been seen all around, with one example being back in January during the FA Cup games of the third round. That 1 minute delay wasn't anything to do with crowd trouble or no one getting ready. It was actually giving a chance for everyone to watch Prince William's mental health charity, Heads Up, on a video, featuring lots of famous football faces and narrated by the Prince himself. The point being made was it only takes a minute to start a conversation, hence the 1 minute delay in the kickoff. Now, men talking to men about why men can't talk, it's a difficult premise for any sort of documentary, but in Football, Prince William and Our Mental Health, the nation's sport and its future monarch come together and they find new outlets for our country's suffering men. One of the documentary's most incredible moments features a grassroots football team in Northampton called Sands United, which is comprised entirely of fathers who have lost a child. It stands for the Stillbirth and Neonatal Death Charity, hence SANDS. And the aim of the charity is to set up many other SANDS teams around the country. Far from wanting to simply forget, which is what you think most people want to do when they lost a child, the guys all meet around a table and talk openly to each other and the Duke of Cambridge about their experiences. Prince William proves a good listener and a good talker and is seemingly determined to personally disprove the convention that, as Brits, we're not supposed to get all emotional and empathetic. It's okay to not be okay, a tagline which I've seen in many places with regard to mental health. During a conversation with Marvin Sordell, a promising player who turned out for Watford, Colchester, Coventry, Bolton and finally Burton, as well as England at different levels, experienced bouts of depression through his entire career and retired at the age of 28 to, in his words, protect his own mental health. Sordell recently welcomed the chance to create a better environment for the beautiful game after joining the Football Association's Inclusion Advisory Board. William mentions the death of his mother, but only on one occasion, seeing as he didn't really need to remind anyone about it, and the programme's not really about him anyway. Sordell became a dad a few years ago and says he struggled with his emotions, something which William agrees with and shares his own private anxieties. He says he can completely relate to what Marvin is saying. Having children is the biggest life-changing moment, and when you've been through something traumatic in life, like the death of your mother, your emotions come back in leaps and bounds, because it's a very different phase of life, and there is no one there to help you, and that at the time was very overwhelming. William also has a view about why men are shy about opening up, and puts it down to the experiences of generations who went through the atrocities, the grief and the sadness of 2 world wars, and who had to internalise their problems. This could be easily just one of the many thousands of reasons. The problem with mental health now isn't so much about raising the awareness or understanding the issue, but in securing more treatment and much needed resource. While openly admitting the camera does make him nervous, Prince William is a very compelling presenter. His interviews all brought a relaxed atmosphere, and there was something interesting about the way his curiosity opens men up and really dig into the detail of how they feel. possibly even for the first time, despite the camera being in front of them. There are lots of stories within this own documentary, and to tell you any more, it could take away your own desire to watch it. And it's a very insightful view into the world of individuals who do suffer from mental health in different forms. Whether you're Marvin Sordell, a football fan called Jamo, or ex-England goalkeeper Joe Hart, or someone that's been a part of a huge project like the Sands United, mental health within football is being talked about more than ever, and it's going to be a good thing, and a huge step in the right direction. Football will return as full at some point, and so this campaign. But this documentary, by showing that both isolation and everyday life can be hard for men who don't even know they're even vulnerable, hopefully this has a chance of connecting with a wide-ranging community of sports fans. Prince William is hopeful he can reach out to as well. For any flaws it might have, that is a true beautiful thing. Regardless of whether you're male or female, looking after your mental health right now has never been bigger. Emotional and mental health is important because it's a vital part of your life and impacts your thoughts, behaviours and emotions. Being healthy and emotional can promote productivity and effectiveness in activities like work, school or caregiving. It plays an important part in the health of your relationships and allows you to adapt to changes in your life and cope with adversity. If you're comfortable and happy as the person you are, you're already in a great position to give the world the best version of you. As long as you're happy, there'll always be a step in the right direction. And if you're not quite there, well, the only way is up. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you're always welcome to. Get yourself on my calendar and let's continue it there. For anything else, hey, I'm waiting to work with you. You know where to go, ldlcall.com, and I will see you there. Finally, before we go, could I ask, would you mind rating the show and leaving a review on the iTunes? It helps other incredible people like yourself find the show. And of course, I will happily give you a shout out in a future episode. I believe you're a 5-star person. Can I join you? I thank you again for being here. If you can drop a review, I thank you again. Hey, that's 2 so far. Big thank yous. And I will see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
What? It's over already?
All over.
Thank you for listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. I hope you feel as warm, motivated, and fuzzy inside as I do. You can connect with Chris at learndeveloplive.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
I won't say goodbye. I'll just say until we meet again.
Until next time, join the motivation. Motivation.